I'm here with Elaine Tatum, Fort Lauderdale expert.
Hello.
And for the next... Hello, Elaine. For the next 10 minutes, we are going to be talking to the potential sellers out there and discuss, is this the right time, 2023, to sell your home or condo in Fort Lauderdale?
I'm looking forward to getting into this.
Perfect. So on the back of our initial intro video, and prelude to the next video where we'll explain how we sell real estate, we're going to get into right now who should be looking to sell real estate in 2023. And there are two types of, obviously, owners out there, the investors and the end users.
Right.
Let's start with the investors.
Okay.
Tell me about the investor market, the condo market in Fort Lauderdale, and who in that group should be thinking about potentially selling in 2023, if anybody.
Well, right now in the condo market right now, I think strength is in the newer buildings. And so if you're an investor and you've bought into some of the newer, more luxury buildings such as Auberge, your returns you're doing okay, unless your asset has grown in value. So if you bought into Auberge, which has had tremendous growth in the values at that particular building. So let's say you bought in at $2.5 million, maybe just a few years ago, and now your asset is worth almost $5 million. If you were getting $15,000 a month for rental when you first purchased it, that's about right. About $5,000 for every million that you bought.
And you say five,
it.
I like six.
I know. It's
you're
Fort
more
Lauderdale.
conservative
We're
than
a
me.
little bit, but that probably should be bumped up too because costs are rising. But I mean, that's a okay return. But if your asset is now worth $5 million and you're only getting $15,000 a month in rent, then maybe it's time to reconsider your position with that or raise your rent.
And we saw a few of those. So ultimately, for Fort Lauderdale, we saw a few of those situations with people where that situation actually existed. But for a good number of them, as you were saying, the rental returns are still pretty solid. The other question that leads in, and let's say, okay, so your rental returns generally are okay for the newer buildings in Fort Lauderdale. What about the appreciation in the market? Is the condo market still moving up?
The condo market, as well as single family, we've reached the threshold as far as our price per square foot. So you have several people, sellers out there that it's like, give me a number and then I'll sell. And that's really not working in the market anymore. Our numbers quarter this year versus the same quarter last year, our numbers, price per square foot, are trending the same. So I think the threshold has been reached. Everyone's taking a breath. And if you're thinking that your asset is still going to grow in value, possibly in a newer construction product or pre-construction, yes, you will see some increases in your value. But for anything that's older, no, you've kind of reached the threshold right now.
So if you're happy to tick along with those numbers, those kind of returns, don't expect a lot of appreciation of asset.
Correct.
But if you are looking to keep the growth going, then this might be the time to set up. And of course, call Elaine, discuss with her. She'll take you through it. So outside of the investors who are off the condos, there are investors who own single family homes.
They are, and they've been, like with the other segments of our rental market, they're still solidly, able to get rentals in there and making some money, but costs are going up. You've got insurance costs on the rise. You have other factors at play here. So if you're an investor and you've got a single family home, your insurance, as I mentioned, is going to be going up. So if you're still not achieving $5,000 to $6,000 per month for every $1 million worth of your asset, you're not covering your ROI. You're not making money. It's just stabilizing. And what are you waiting for? Are you stabilizing it to hang on to?
Well,
it,
there's something that
hoping for greater value? Because as I've just said, we've kind of reached the threshold, and maybe it's time to let go of that asset and realize the values that are there to be had.
There was something that just happened a couple of days ago, and as we're doing this 10-minute segment, and it's short, but we're on the 14th of April right now, and for the last 3 days, we've had some major rains in Fort Lauderdale, and older homes are built at lower elevations. For investors, and this is totally loaded, so just be clear here, I think we know where this is going. What is the message out there for those people who have those older homes that they've got them rented out right now?
Be wary of your insurance costs. You're going to take a hit. They're going to adjust probably based on this flooding that just occurred. And if you're in a low-lying older home that has not been built to any newer sort of elevation, you might have had some water intrusion, which again will affect the value of your home. And maybe this is a good time for you to consider to sell.
Okay, I think that's pretty obvious and pretty self-explanatory. Moving on, let's go into the end users. The end users out in those markets right now, and obviously we've got the condo end users, which there's fewer of them out there because there's less condo product out there to exist for end users. But what do you say to the end users out there who are trying to figure out whether they should sell this year?
Well, it depends on who you are as an end user. Are you an investor end user, a primary
end users, people who live in the property all year round,
or a retired end user?
Oh, that's a good point.
So if you have a fixed income and you're in maybe an older condominium building or even a home, it's the same thing that I mentioned earlier. Costs are escalating for just to maintain your home. You've got insurance costs, association fees are going to be going up. So maybe it's time to take a step back, maybe move out of that asset class into something lesser, more price conducive for you, or into newer, because newer really is where you're going to have the greatest protection from insurance costs and other mitigating factors that could kind of erode your wealth.
And there's some ballooning inventory for the older product out there in the
There
market.
is.
And that's what we've seen for those end users in older buildings. And it's the same in Miami. You're seeing a lot of those values starting to soften because as those costs go up, they just get very hard to incur, especially for people who are retired. So it's probably better to act sooner rather than later. Forewarned is forearmed. And if you are in those give us some of the older buildings out there that you really need to be aware of. So if you live in some of these buildings that Elaine's going to talk about now or mention, give us some of those, because those are the ones you might want to sell.
I'm going to mention anything on Galt Ocean Mile. I think all of those buildings are at risk of having huge escalations in their association fees. They have to go up. New laws are in place. Their insurance costs are going up. So you're going to be impacted. Anything that is older than 2010 is at risk of languishing on the market, even if it comes to market now. So there's no silver bullet out there, but come to market now where we can get you out with a good price and get you out of that product, because you could in a few years be really stuck with it. It's not going to get better. It's like an older car. That you could throw money at it and it's going to run for a while, but after a time, it's going to stop.
Send it to the scrap heap.
Yep.
So it's not all doom and gloom. I don't want us to say that everyone should be selling, because that's just not the case. Who should not be selling? Who should be holding? And what product should you be buying into?
New product, anything new. Land is also a good way to put your money to. There was a recent deal in Sunrise Intercoastal. They purchased the land for $4 million. They built, and we were calculating, even if they spent $1,000 a square foot on this construction, they would have been in it for $12 million, $15 million. They just sold for $30 million.
So they doubled their money. $4 million, $12 million if you build it $1,000 a square foot. Correct. So $16 million. Correct. And that's a $30 million sale.
Correct. It was the highest sale recently in Fort Lauderdale, but it was also a unique product. Balinese style, incredible finishes. It created a desire for itself. But there's something, if you have a ho-hum product, you're going to get ho-hum pricing. So you really need to have something different and distinctive out there, because there's new product out there right now that isn't selling. Yeah. And it's probably based on location, views, finishes are really important. So don't just think because you have new product, you can also put a make me sell price on it. You have to really consider your pricing, and that's where we would come in.
And that new product you also mentioned, and we took a look at those sales of people saying whether it's not a case of you should not sell or sell. There's a group of you shouldn't sell until it's finished being built.
Oh my gosh. So case in point, their beautiful home on Mercedes in Harbor Beach, which I just love. I featured it in one of my videos. It came out. It was still an empty lot at that time. It has not sold. And it's because they came to market too early. Buyers, in my experience, they have to see the completed product. They question what the finishes will be. They question what the details are going to be, and they need to see it. So if you can hold off bringing a new construction product to market and wait until it's fully completed, you'll realize a greater valuation on the sale.
Perfect. Thank you. So, Elaine, as always, look, this is an expert here. This is the one who will know this market. So if you're a builder, developer, and you want to sell your new home, wait till it's finished, but hire someone who knows the product. If you are an end user who has an older condo and you need to figure out whether or not it's the right time to sell before your HOA's fees go up, here's the expert. Give them a call. If you have a great home and you want to test the market and want to get high numbers, but you've got to be managed accordingly, here's the expert. There's many, many reasons to work with Elaine Tatum. Most importantly, if you are considering selling a home, stop using that national system, understand an expert, and watch to the end of the video to understand how we sell very, very high-end real estate very successfully.
Our marketing is par none, and David, you've established that, and I'm very happy to represent you and the team in the Fort Lauderdale area, and I would love to represent any of you sellers out there. Sell your home.
Perfect, thank you. And tune in for the other videos where we interview all the other territory managers and we talk about all the other areas in Miami and Fort Lauderdale to help understand who should be selling and who should be buying.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.